Hello, chemistry students. I hope your day is better than this fellow here. Today we're going to learn a little bit about advanced carbon-14 dating problems, and I'm going to use this uh, person as an example. Here what you are looking at is the frozen body as found by two German hikers in 1991 in the Alps. And it was right on the border of Italy and Austria. In fact, there was a big debate for a while about who the body was going to end up being with. In the end, Austria got to research it, but the body was technically found on the Italian side of the border. This body was quickly identified as being not a recent person who had passed away based on all the items that this person had with it. With them, we're going to figure out how old this body was approximately using some carbon-14 dating problem. So let's go forward here. What are we going to be doing today? We're going to be looking at, first of all, who is this Copper Age gentleman who is now called Otzi, or sometimes called the Iceman, and then we're going to use a data table to solve one of the advanced chemistry carbon-14 dating problems. So this is his body as it was finally excavated. It is now in a very special freezer designed just for it because this is a body we want to keep in good shape because it's a really rare insight into what Europe was like in a very much older time. One of the interesting things about his body, of course, was that it was so intact and there were still a lot of the food contents in his stomach, so they could tell what his diet was. This is an example of some of the tattoos that were found on his body. They were very simple, like this little X here. This seemed to be positioned on his knee, and there were some on other spots on his body that were related, we think, to arthritis, that maybe it was their way of trying to help get rid of arthritis in a pre-medical kind of a pagan era. This is a reconstruction of Otzi, and this is, you can see he's an older gentleman, and we now know from the autopsy in his body that he was actually murdered. He was shot in the back with an arrow and murdered and left for dead in this crevasse a while ago. So when we looked at some of the equipment and things that he had, this is his axe. You can see it's very well crafted. It's made of copper, so he's from the Copper Age, probably. But lots of material here that could be used to carbon-14 date things, since it is almost all made of living things here. The wood and the rope and the leather or whatever animal skin that is that wrapped up that copper axe head. This is a reconstruction of the clothing that he was wearing, so you can see all the different things that he had going on there. You know, he was definitely designed for being up in these high, cold altitudes. So here is his original shoe, part of it. You can see all the hay that was used there to help insulate his foot. And we've got lots of material there too that we can use for carbon-14 dating. So here we have a 100-gram sample of leather emitting 764 beta negative decays or radioactive particles per minute. How old is that material? Well, when we look at this number 764, I hope you right away realize we have a problem with that number. That is significantly more than the 15.3 decays per minute per gram that we start with. So that poses an issue, but if we look carefully, when we think about the units that I just mentioned, decays per minute per gram, this 764 here is just decays per minute. We need to incorporate the gram in order to put it into our table. So let's do that. It's a very simple division. We're just going to take our 764 decays per minute and we're going to divide by 100-gram sample that we have. That now gives us our appropriate unit and a number that's less than 15.3 that we can actually use. So let's go ahead and plug that 7.64 decays per minute per gram into our data tables. So here is our problem, and we have it all set up with our initial information. And now what we're going to do is we are going to simply go through one half-life and see where it takes us. So we go to half of the original material, 5,700 years, and now we end up at 7.65 decays per minute per gram. Now, this is pretty close to what we had up here, and I did this kind of deliberately so that you could see that sometimes maybe the numbers you're given won't be exactly right, but the ones that I'm going to give you are going to be really, really close. So you can just call this close enough. This seems to date Otzi at about 5,700 years ago, which is roughly what the actual data was indicating, that he seemed to die in about 3,000 something BC. So there's our answer. If you'd like to look up more about Otzi the Iceman, there's plenty of stuff online. You can go a lot more into detail about him and this murder case and what they know and what they have tried to surmise and guess about him. Very interesting carbon-14 dating case. This has been another video produced for you guys by Overlord. Over and out.